This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome to the WWE Podcast. Time to talk Monday Night Raw for this Tuesday, October 15th, 2024. We've got a lot to talk about with this Monday Night Raw as it emanated from St. Louis, as we got a little bit more build towards Crown Jewel. Keep jumping Survivor's Crown Jewel's event because I want it over with, but we've got a face-to-face with Gunther and Cody. We'll start off with that in just a minute, but I want to welcome all of you to the WWE Podcast and welcome all of the new patrons who have joined us, especially during the Hell in a Cell, or I keep calling it that. It was the Bad Blood event that had a Hell in a Cell match, but many of you joined us there and have stuck around, and I appreciate it, and I want to welcome those who have stuck with us, and that is Preston Logan, thank you so much. And HZM All Shamsi, thank you so much for joining us. Jeannie Etling, thank you. And I think that does it. We had a few people upgrade over the last couple of days too, so thank you so much. And we're going to continue to deliver some podcasts to you that are ad-free, because that's what you're here for. You don't want the interruptions every 9 to 10 minutes. That's what you love. That's what you get over on the NXT side of things, on the NXT level and above. But, of course, more perks as you go up, including the After Dark show, which has been reinvigorated. And I hope you enjoy it. We just posted our latest After Dark show with a new host. Check that out. I think you're going to enjoy it. We've also got more video coming. I keep saying that, but we really are. What I'm going to do is have a couple of video updates done every week for those on higher tiers as well, and maybe have some kind of quick hitting thoughts, 2 minutes or less of video for you to enjoy. So head on over to Patreon if you like that. We may also maybe moving to Spotify. I'm not sure yet. We're not hosted on Spotify. Obviously our podcast is there, but we may move hosting there. We're not sure yet. I'll have to speak with management. So that means I'll have to talk to myself. All right, let's get into Monday Night Raw. And I want to talk about Cody and Gunther right off the bat. Now, this was a very respectful exchange. We didn't have any physicality. There's no need for any physicality here, because this is something that is simply... This match is happening because the schedule is saying it needs to happen. It's not happening organically. And that really hurts matches when they're just structured to happen instead of happening organically. No matter what it is, it doesn't really lend itself usually to having a great, memorable program. But let's go through it here. As Cody Rhodes comes out, and he came to the ring and he shook hands with Joe Tessitore and Barrett before entering the ring, because Cody shakes the hands of everyone. Even the janitor, right? That's the kind of guy Cody is. He just gets worse and worse every week. But Cody said, to know where you're going, you have to know where you've been. Oh, my God. Is he going to start talking like Kamala Harris? Is he watching too many Kamala Harris speeches? Are we just going to get a whole bunch of empty platitudes now from Cody Rhodes? Anyway, he said he's a sports entertainment traditionalist, and he was immensely proud to be in a city with such a rich pro wrestling history. Cody mentioned Sam Muchnick and wrestling at the Chase, and he said something happened in the building that changed his life for the better. He said it was in St. Louis that there was the "We Want Cody" chant, the first one. And St. Louis is very impressed and proud of themselves. Hey, it is. If you're in person, it's kind of a cool thing to be known for. But they didn't invent it. It was going on, before then, but it visually, audibly happened from most people's perspective at first in St. Louis. So he said he was sure someone would call him a politician, but there's nothing political about what he was doing. And he thanked the fans very, very much and delivered his "what do you want to talk about" line. Yeah, Cody, there's nothing more political or less political than pandering to the audience, dressing like a politician, and then delivering your line that you always deliver that is still not catching on. Yeah, there's nothing more or less political than that, sure. I mean, the only thing he's missing is an American flag pin. That's it. I mean, it's literally all he's missing. So, yeah, I mean, he can try to pretend that he's not very much like a politician, the way he acts, his mannerisms, everything. He dresses like one. He speaks like one. He is a politician, and people don't even see it. And they continue to cheer for him, which is just really, it's astounding. And so well, let's continue here. He then had Gunther come out, and he joined Cody inside the ring. He said he normally would come out and dress down his opponent, but there wasn't much negative to say about Cody, and said that Cody makes all the shows in countries on various continents, called him the quarterback. Gunther said he has a lot of respect for Cody, and Gunther said if he thinks about it, there might be one thing. And he said that you just want to be everybody's darling, don't you? Yes, exactly. Again, that's what politicians do. If you know anything about politicians, that's what they do. So, sure, just because you say you aren't one, Cody, doesn't mean you own it and you aren't one. So, say it as many times as you want. You are, by definition, one. Anyway, Gunther pointed to the issue with Kevin Owens. Gunther said if he expects Cody to sort out his emotional mess because he expects the best version of Cody in Saudi Arabia. And he said that what Gunther thinks is his greatest weakness is actually what he considers his greatest strength. He said he wanted to make an observation from one champion to another, which, by the way, he never explained how that's his greatest strength. He just tried to counter it by saying he countered it, but never actually countered it with any backup. Like, it's like saying, I know you are, but what am I? It's just, I don't know. I just noticed he never actually supported why he felt it was his greatest strength. But Cody said he's seen what happens when Gunther throws everything at an opponent who keeps coming back, and said Gunther gets uncomfortable and that Gunther broke at WrestleMania, and said he could return a lot of things that Gunther said about him in terms of being champion and a workhorse, and that he thinks he's swimming in deep water, but his feet are still touching the bottom of the pool because he's never been in the ring with him. Well, actually, yeah, he has. I'll continue to point it out. Royal Rumble 2023. The finish, if you remember. So sure, they never had a one-on-one match, to the best of my knowledge, on television, but they have been in the ring together. That's for sure. Gunther said that was spoken like a true secondary champion, and the fans booed. Cody said Gunther has become a frightening beast, and Cody took issue with being called a secondary champion, and he pointed out that he beat the most dominant champion in company history, and he's already slain a frightening beast. Now, interesting that Brock Lesnar indirectly was referenced twice on the show. Twice. And that Cody was one of them. So that was quite interesting. But anyway, Cody then dropped the mic and offered his hand, and Gunther accepted while saying, "Good luck to me, the champ." So that was it. So not really much to write home about here. Trying to create a program that is ice cold into something we care about is not a task I am jealous of taking on or wish I had one. I mean, it's not something that it stinks because you're trying to create something out of nothing, but these two are both so talented that I don't think there'll be any issue with by the time we get to November 2nd. I keep saying November 2nd. Is it November 2nd? I need to stop. And anyway, so I think it is November 2nd on that Saturday. By that time, I think we'll be all ready for this matchup. It'll be at the point where we're like, okay, cool, I'm interested. Now, nobody mentioned, if you noticed, the Crown Jewel Championship. To the best of my knowledge, I don't think anybody did, which I appreciate. I appreciate that. No one pretended that the Crown Jewel Championship is worth even mentioning. And if it's so prestigious as Triple H tried to sell us a couple weeks ago, you would imagine that both of these men would be having something to say about it, but they have nothing to say because there's nothing to pull from, because it's a useless, just a completely fabricated championship. And I'm glad it wasn't the focal point. I wouldn't even want it mentioned at all. So, all right. Then we had, what else happened on Raw? Again, I'm not going to go in any particular order. I guess I'll start at the top of the show now. And that's where we had Rhea Ripley walking backstage. She comes out, and Ripley said she's not finished with Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez and called them out. Tiffany Stratton comes out with her briefcase and joined Ripley and said that she needs to stay out of Nia Jax's business. And then Ripley said she didn't have time for this, and she needs to get her hands on Morgan or Rodriguez or she can welcome Stratton back to Raw her own way. And that's when Morgan and Rodriguez attacked Ripley, and Stratton left them both laying. And so, yeah, I guess having this temporary crossover of Stratton there, fine. You know, Tiffany Stratton, I don't think has any need to really cash in right now. I know that many of you keep predicting it. I don't want it. I think there's actually value in continuing to tease fans that she could cash in. I don't need it going the full 12 months, but there is value in remembering that she is the Money in the Bank briefcase holder for the women and that she at any time could cash in. Now, the place you want the audience, ideally, anytime you cash in, man or woman championship, whoever, the key is that you want the audience at a point where they've kind of forgotten that you're the Money in the Bank briefcase holder. You kind of want them at that point. And that way it creates a little bit more of the surprise element as best you can. And I think, and I've been advocating this for months and months, if not years at this point, however the Money in the Bank briefcases holder are for the men and the women, I think they shouldn't be required or obligated to carry around that briefcase all the time. It suddenly just becomes a part of them. It's like a new appendage, you know? And I don't think it's beneficial for everyone. Now, sure, they can use it as a weapon to win matches, like we saw a number of times with Tiffany Stratton, who's used it as a weapon. And they can dress it up like Tiffany Stratton has done, making it pink or whatever she's done. And you can do a lot of stuff with it. You can pretend it's a boombox like Brock Lesnar did. If you remember that really weird moment. Was that SummerSlam like 8 years ago? But anyway, my point is, it doesn't need to be a third appendage. It can actually be something that they don't need to carry around every week. And the reason is, even if they want to cash in, the briefcase is symbolic. It doesn't actually have the contract in it. So all they need to really do is just use word of mouth. Now, maybe the actual rules say, okay, they need to, even though it's symbolic, they still need to hand the briefcase to the referee and the bell needs to ring. Fine, let's go with that. Then only have them carry it when they're about to cash in. I don't need them carrying it around all the time. It's a constant reminder, because what you're doing is kind of undermining yourself. From a storyline perspective, if you want that surprise element, because when you have that person carrying it around all the time, it's a constant reminder. It's like, oh yeah, I almost forgot they're the briefcase holder. Why would you want them to remember that? If the goal is to have an element of surprise, instead you have, when the moment is right, that person come out, champions down. You have a perfect situation where they could cash in. They have the briefcase. That's when you go, oh my God, I totally forgot they were the briefcase holder. That's what you want. So I don't know that I'm not a big believer in having to carry around the briefcase all the time as a symbolic gesture that you're the briefcase holder, the Money Bank briefcase. So I don't need it. Just my 2 cents. And an opinion you didn't even ask for, free of charge. All right. So backstage, Rhea told Adam Pearce that she wanted to face Liv and Raquel. Pearce said he spoke with them and the match was on, but she needs a partner. Ripley wanted to go it alone, but she's going to begrudgingly agree. And Tiffany Stratton showed up and complained to Nick that Nick Aldis wouldn't have done this to her. Pierce asked Ripley about teaming with Stratton. Ripley said fine, and Stratton wasn't sure what they were talking about. So we get a tag team match there. Then we get the beloved women's tag team titles on the line. At this point, I'm surprised when they don't have a women's tag team title match. Remember when championship matches used to feel special? Put aside the fact that the women's tag team titles mean about as much as a championship belt I buy from WWE Shop. Put that aside. But the principle of having championship matches mean something has unfortunately been eroded away. And the fact that I am surprised when they don't have a women's tag team title match, or at least that when the women's tag team champions are on the show, that they aren't just automatically defending them, is not a place I want to be. I don't accept it. We've all become complacent in this constant need, or this constant expectation, I should say, of having championship matches. I remember when there was a time, guys, back in the day, where championship matches primarily took place on PLEs. Not exclusively, but pretty darn close. And when you got a championship match on Raw or SmackDown, it felt special. It felt like a big deal. Even the tag titles at one point when they were put on the line on free TV, you're like, oh my God, wow. Cool, we get a championship match? Wow. Now, we've been recalibrated by WWE, this is their doing, into expecting that we're entitled to a championship match of many sort. Not just one, but we should get multiple. And anytime you see a champion, when you're in person, you feel like we should get a title match. We're entitled to one. That's the drawback of having championship matches all the time. It wears out its welcome. It reduces the value of what a championship match used to mean. Its importance, because it's happening more, which means more of something means it's worth less. So you add on top of that the women's tag titles, as I said, are about as as actually valued as a used tissue. And I'm being serious. And it's not. It's a little bit of hyperbole, but it's a little bit of an exaggeration. But it's to get my point across that the women's tag team titles, as I continue to say every week, are not and continue to not really feel that important, despite the fact they're around the waists of Jade Cargill and one of the greatest that WWE has, and Bianca Belair. And I think that they could do better if they simply stop putting them on the line every single week. I mean, they're putting them on WWE television twice a week, defending them twice. They defended them on SmackDown. They come to Raw and defend them against Iyo Skye and Kairi Sane. Now, give WWE credit here. This is the championship match that I think could have easily been on a PLE. If you want Cargill to get more spotlight, but have Jade be protected by Mother Bianca from any of her weaknesses, and you want also super credible opponents, that's what a PLE spot is for. That's what a PLE spot is for. But when was the last time, and this is a serious question, that WWE put the women's tag titles on a PLE in a match? Like, have them defended. When is the last time? I don't know. I think they've just gone by the wayside, and it's been mostly now just they're not even competing. They're just, if you're a women's tag team champion, you are cursed, because you can call yourself a champion, but that means you're automatically not on the PLE, just like by default. Now, maybe that'll change, and I hope it does. But that's why I don't want a mid-card belt. I went on that rant the other day. So, okay. The match, though, was fine. We did have the finish as follows. Iyo Skye performed an Asai moonsault on Belair and Cargill, and then Skye threw Belair back in the ring, argued with Legend and Jackson, who were ringside, and Legend blasted Skye with a forearm to the jaw. Belair pulled Skye back in the ring, hit the KOD for the victory. Legend and Jackson on the outside to get them exposure, fine. But let me just say one good thing about this, because I feel like I'm ranting a bit. At least it wasn't the typical finish of having Jade come in for the hot tag. She gets the pinfall. That's a nice change, although the bar is very low. All things said here. So there is that. But also, why do Jade and Bianca need help? Weird, right? Again, I don't know if they even notice they're turning them heel. It's under their nose. I don't even know it's happening. It's happening. All right. We had an American-made vignette with Chad Gable, Julius Creed, Brutus Creed, Ivy Nile, and which was really funny. And they said they were sick of degenerates and asking for handouts, and Americans need a hero. And he said, Gable did, that he could be that hero. I just love American Alpha. I'm sorry, American Alpha. Geez, American Made. There's a throwback, American Alpha. All right, Bron Breakker was then in a promo video. He played up the question of why he attacked Jay. And Breakker said he showed respect to Jay, and he threw it back in his face and never said that he respected him as a champion. And he said he's not carrying on his family legacy. He's doing it on his own. And said that someday his family will have the same amount of respect for him that he has for them. And Breakker accused Jay of using his family legacy for years. So, all right. Next was a Adam Pearce, Bronson Reed sit down and conversation, and I saw one of the YouTube streamers, and it's I wish I could give him credit, because I was watching some of his feed and some of it I saw also on TikTok. A lot of the YouTube streamers, I can't remember who it was. Anyway, he said that it felt very much like an HR meeting that was, recorded and then published on national television. That's what this felt like. It felt like an HR meeting that we probably shouldn't have seen. It was different. It's not a complaint, just an observation. So I'm not going to give myself credit for coming up with that. Another YouTuber did. I can't remember his name. Some of you, he's very well known. I just can't think of who he is. And it's, it's not, what's his name? From Long Island. The brash, I can't remember. Right now my recall memory is shot. I can't think of who he is, but he's a well-known YouTuber, and it felt like an HR meeting. That is true. But the purpose of this was Reed saying he wants Seth Rollins. Yes, he's trying to make a name for himself. He said Reed said everything he's done is about proving he belongs on top, and Pierce said he would speak to Rollins about the match if Reed agreed to not cause more trouble. So he, basically Adam Pearce is saying, look, I know you cost us tens of thousands of dollars, if not more, in damages around the arenas, outside the arenas, destroying cars, putting fans at risk, which could result in the company being sued. But listen, as long as you pinky promise to just behave, we'll give you what you want. It's essentially what he said. I mean, the narrative here just continues for WWE, where bad behavior is rewarded. And what am I talking about? You guys remember Retribution during the pandemic era? They had chainsaws and destroyed everything. I mean, they cut the ropes and smashed windows, and they terrorized WWE for like weeks. Remember that? I mean, they must have cost, if this were real, of course, hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage. And instead of using security to ban them, they rewarded that group with WWE contracts. They said, hey, instead of doing the damage here, why don't you do the damage and cost us money as WWE superstars? It's just ridiculous. Like, I don't know. I know we're not talking about Retribution. That was 5 years ago. But still, it's the same logic here. Bad behavior is rewarded. And that's what we got here. So I have no issue with Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed. I mean, bring it on. But kind of funny. Okay. We had the War Raiders. No, not the Viking Raiders. The War Raiders. Eric and Ivar have returned. Decent reaction. And they took on Otis and Akira Tozawa in a tournament match for the World Tag Team titles. So we're getting a tournament match. Triple H clearly a big fan of tournaments here. Eric and Ivar dominated, and they won, as you'd expect. And it was like 2.5 minutes in which it took them to be victorious and move on in the tournament. The War Raiders, by the way, much better name. It's just so simple, but I love it. Instead of Vikings and pretending to be Vikings, no, War Raiders. They got a new, they look different, little tweak on the gear. The graphics are a little different. I like it. Simple. Makes sense. Bolsters the tag team division instantly. Good stuff. I have no complaints with the War Raiders. I think that that's a good move. Simplistic move, but good move. And it feels like it's been a hell of a long time since we've seen these two together. Eric and Ivar. All right. Backstage, Adam Pearce is talking to Seth Rollins about the match, potential match with Bronson Reed, and Pearce expressed concern about the injuries that Rollins endured, and he said that you fight through the injuries to get to the top, and once you get there, guys like Reed will try to make a name off you, and he said he did it, and so did Pearce, so now Reed is doing it. And here's where the second mention of Brock Lesnar is. He said, Rollins did, that he's slayed beasts and conquered kings, and now hunting a monster sounds nice. Interesting. Obviously referring to Brock Lesnar and Triple H here. But that's the second mention of Brock Lesnar. Indirectly, okay, not by name, but in like a drive-by. And just something of note. I can't remember the last time anyone even came close to referencing Brock Lesnar. Now, Triple H was recently asked in I think it was like I don't know if it was some kind of like on the street interview or something where's Brock Lesnar? Can you tell us when he's coming back or if he will? And Triple H said, you're going to have to ask Brock Lesnar that. And that he said he imagines he's up in Canada, living life, enjoying his family, and that if he ever wants to return, he knows where to call. So, seems like the ball's in Brock Lesnar's court, as it always seems to be. If you guys are looking for a Brock Lesnar return, usually now that we're getting on the second half of the year, we're already all looking towards WrestleMania 41. Perhaps that may pique the interest of Brock Lesnar a bit. And it does tell you that from a legal standpoint, in all of the spider web of Vince McMahon's sex scandal and money, hush money, all that Brock Lesnar has been cleared of any wrongdoing. If WWE is telling us that it's in Brock's court if he wants to come back, then that tells you from their perspective, it's all good, man. So, all right. So we got, as I said, that's after Cody Rhodes. We got the whole Cody Rhodes thing. And then we had Bron Breakker versus Kofi Kingston. And Bron Breakker beats Kingston in 8.5 minutes. Kingston, as a finish here, I always want to describe it for those that may not have seen it, avoided Breakker, who was charging at him. He went through the ropes, hit his shoulder, crashed into the ring post. Kingston hit a cross-body block. He then followed up with an SOS, and then he went for a move from the top, but was caught by Breakker, who suplexed him. Breakker lowered the straps on his singlet, and then speared Kingston for the victory. After the match, Breakker teased going after Kingston, but he exited once Xavier Woods came in, and Woods then turned his attention to Kingston. Breakker returned to the ring and knocked him down, and then Jey Uso comes out. Super kicks Breakker. Jay followed it up with a spear, and Breakker exits the ring, and Jay joined Woods in helping Kingston to his feet. So this was what it should have been. I have no complaints here. The quality of this match with Breakker and Kingston was good. Again, for what it could be in 8.5 minutes, it furthered Bron Breakker in that heel role that he's in. It also furthered Xavier a little bit in the announcers saying, well, why wasn't he here earlier to help Kingston? Why did it take him so long? And really just kind of planting those seeds of doubt in the minds of fans with Xavier Woods. And so, I mean, I'm looking forward to what that payoff is eventually going to be. Can't wait. So also having Jey Uso come out and spear Breakker, fun, because Jey Uso is not a pushover champion. I don't know how long he'll have that belt, but it's very possible the next time he does face Breakker for it, he could give it back immediately. It's very possible. All right. Moving on. Let's see. We got R-Truth versus The Miz. So a Wyatt family graphic flashed on the screen, and the Final Testament, which is Karrion Kross, Akam Rezar, Scarlett, and Paul Ellering, walked to ringside, and Truth rolled up Miz, who was distracted. And R-Truth beats The Miz in 1 minute. After the match, Truth hugged Miz and the referee while celebrating his win. Truth went to ringside, and then Kross fist bumped Truth and let him pass, but then said, get him right now. And that's when Akam and Rezar grabbed Truth, threw him back inside the ring. Miz hit Truth with a skull-crushing finale, and Kross and Ellering were smiling and nodding. So I don't know what the hell the deal is with the Final Testament having any vested interest in this program at all. But regardless of the fact that they don't have any logical interest in this, from at least what the fans have been told about this story, there's just nothing to tie them to it, at least anything I can think of. Here's the good part. It gives something for the Final Testament to do, even if it doesn't have any logical tie. It's like, okay, I don't know what you're doing here or why you even care about this, but at least you're here. I mean, that's how low the bar is for the Final Testament. Just do anything that gets you on TV, even if it has nothing to do with what you were doing or no one's explaining why you're here or care. The fact that you're just existing on television is where that's the starting point for me for Final Testament. All right. So, and we get to another big segment here. And this happened a couple of times. Jimmy was going throughout the building searching for Jey. Jey ignored him the first time, and then Jimmy found him a second time, and Jimmy was trying to get Jey to hear him out. And Jey said, I said no. And he said, quote, get out of my face, man. And that's when Jey walked away. This is exactly how you should tell the story. Jey, it would make no sense if Jey just, without hesitation, went back to his brother, went back to the bloodline. It's going to take some resistance. This is called storytelling. It would make no sense that he just goes, oh, okay, hey, Jey, let's hug. I'll see you on SmackDown with Roman, and we'll reunite and take out the OG, the Rogue bloodline. Yeah, so I'm on your side, guys. Let's do it. No, you need to build to it. So we're going to get a couple of no's, maybe several no's, before we get to that yes. Just like with Gunther refusing 4 times to give Sami Zayn a world title match, it's going to be kind of the same thing. Until Jimmy and Roman are in a very precarious situation where it looks like they could have their careers ended. Maybe they have Roman's head in a chair, like something extreme. And that's when Jey comes out and makes the save, especially for his brother. I think that's probably where it is, where Jimmy is his brother rather than Roman is in a situation where he could, be killed essentially. And Jimmy is about to be destroyed. And here comes Jey. He's like, I've seen enough. So that's what's going to take. So he'll have, he'll be questioned about it. He might get texts from Jimmy in storyline, and he might even be contacted many more times, when Jey is on Raw, Jimmy's on SmackDown, and you hear the story still continuing about Jimmy trying to contact Jey and Jey still ignoring him. It's going to go on for a little while. Because remember, Survivor Series isn't for another month and a half. So we got time. If they don't bring Jey back into the fold by Crown Jewel, they still got time. So I like it. Rhea Ripley and Tiffany Stratton versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. This match was 8 minutes and 40 seconds to be exact. And Rhea tags in. Again, this is the finish. Hit Riptide on Morgan. Ripley had the pin, but Rodriguez broke it up, and Ripley tossed Rodriguez to the floor and then tagged out. Stratton went for the prettiest moonsault ever, but Morgan rolled out of the way, and Ripley went after Rodriguez at ringside and set up for her finish, but Nia Jax hit Ripley from behind. Jax entered the ring. The referee called for the bell. So, here we go. So Nia Jax on Raw. Makes sense. After the match, Ripley headbutts Jax and starts to power her up, but Morgan clipped Ripley's knee, and Jax attacked Morgan and put her down with a Samoan drop, and she followed up with another leg drop, and then Jax encouraged Stratton to cash in. Stratton ran to ringside, grabbed her briefcase. Dominic Mysterio ran out, pulled Stratton to safety to close the show. So it was weird seeing Ripley and Stratton team together. They're kind of in an in-between place with Tiffany. Even when they've booked her as a heel, how many times do the fans cheer for her? They have that connection with her. So it was interesting seeing her team with Ripley. They're also waiting for her to turn on Nia. I think that's eventually the place they'll go is Stratton turning on Nia, which everybody wants to see. So it was fine. You know, I didn't ever think there was a chance that Stratton was going to actually cash in and win the women's world title from Liv Morgan. It just, there's too many layers of stuff going on here. It would have made no sense. So, but fun nonetheless. Still a decent matchup here. And that was the main event. That was the main event of the show. So a Raw that didn't blow your doors off, but a Raw that continued to progress towards the Crown Jewel event, which is only 3 weeks away in Saudi Arabia. So I do have a little bit of extra time here. I did kind of run through Raw a little quick. There's been a lot of news circulating lately about a potential Goldberg versus Gunther matchup. Let me just say, no, please. No, and for several reasons. One, Goldberg's matches, as we all know, especially if you don't like that kind of one-trick pony type of wrestling ability, which is just what Goldberg is, and he made millions off of 1-2 moves, and good for him. Seriously. But I'm not into that. I don't like his style of matches of everything. Every maneuver has to be a finish. Not a big fan of that. Now, it would be on paper a big headline match. Goldberg versus Gunther, of course, sounds on paper. If you don't think about anything, you just look at the names and don't use any brain cells beyond that. It does sound enticing. And Goldberg is always keeping himself in incredible shape. Credit to him. And I'm sure he would love to be able to compete in front of a crowd again and get another match under his belt. And especially with his son Gage now, and at the age where he could, he's old enough certainly to remember that, and it would have a lot of, there'd be some bonding there with his son, and all of that's true, right? All the gushy stuff. But when you just dig a second, an inch, not even an inch, just take your nail and scratch a little bit beneath the surface, this would be horrible. The reason is, I think the match quality, especially what we're used to with Gunther, would spit in the face of everything we know about Gunther. Or at least, what we expect from a Gunther matchup. It's the complete antithesis of a Gunther match. Goldberg is all about finishes. Gunther is all about ring psychology. Breaking down your opponent. Slower pace. Goldberg is explosive. Spear, jackhammer, 1, 2, 3, and I'll go home. Not a great matchup here with Gunther. On paper, sounds pretty. Please don't. Also, Goldberg hasn't wrestled a WWE match in, how many years now? And he just is suddenly anointed to be number one contender for the world title. He's done that before. Not something I think is particularly exciting. So I hope they don't go that road, but that has been at the forefront of conversation here for the last, well, since Bad Blood, when Gunther called out Goldberg and talked about him and his son. So I just hope they don't do it. I don't know. Maybe you guys have a different view on that. All right. What other news is going on here? There's a potential too of, and that's still talk, of Nia Jax joining the Bloodline. I still say no to this too. The reason? Well, one of the reasons, Nia Jax is, for the first time in her career, doing something on her own that she doesn't need help with. She's doing something very significant on her own. I don't want her getting lost in the sauce in the Bloodline. Yeah, I understand. Samoan heritage. That's her family. On and on and on. But she had nothing to do with the OG Bloodline. Nothing. Now, they could, if they want to bring her in after Survivor Series for some weird reason and have a one-off with her, fine. But also, who is she going to oppose? Is she going to join them? Why would she join them? Again, you're going to sacrifice the storyline that she's got going on with her WWE Women's Championship, which she's doing a decent job with. Because then when she becomes part of the Bloodline storyline immediately overshadows any and everything that you are currently doing. Also, again, as I just said, who is she going to face? You have to have a female component on the other side. Who is that female component on the side of Solo Sikoa? No one. So, unless they're going to start pretending that the men have to bow down to the women and start competing with them and all of the like, which I highly, highly reject. I mean, with every fiber of my being, I think that's a horrible idea. But outside of that, you have to have a female component. And if she joins, then what? And here's what I ultimately think. Okay, here's what I think with the Bloodline story. Jay, of course, as we all know, is coming back. He's the Intercontinental Champion, though. They'll round it out with Sami Zayn, who has gone into hiding. I think he is in hiding for a purpose, because he's about to be that final piece for Survivor Series in 6 weeks for the Bloodline to take on Solo's Bloodline. And yeah, we probably will see the Wise Man come back, and it'll be fun, and it'll be a moment and all the rest. But I don't think it's a long-lived reunion. I think that Survivor Series matchup that we all saw coming 6 months ago is going to be fun. It's going to be entertaining. And win, lose, or draw, I think it's a bit of a one-off. Because almost every single one of those members, with the exception of Jimmy, have major storylines going on by themselves. Or at least could sustain a major storyline by themselves. Sami Zayn just wrapped one up. But we know he's capable at any time of being able to maintain a large profile story. And Jay presumably will still be Intercontinental Champion. Again, I emphasize presumably because he could drop it before rejoining the Bloodline, but I would advise against it. And you have Roman, of course, who can just kind of do what he wants. He's literally WWE's number one guy. He could inject himself at anything at any point. And you also have The Rock coming back, right? So there's a lot here. And I just don't think that, since all of these men, with the exception of Jimmy, have really forged their own ways, that bringing them back together for a long period of time would really be beneficial for them, because they've made success in the singles front. And that's ultimately where the largest amount of success is found, is in the singles run. So, they could go on for multiple months, but then it also begs the question of, what about the brand split? How does that work? Or they just don't care. I mean, that seems to be the answer I'm getting all the time, is they don't care. Brand split, whatever. What brand split? So, all right. Just want to bring in a little bit of news, a little bit of around the horn rumors that I've been hearing. And of course, we could get into a lot more stuff. There's a lot more stuff going on. I mean, some of the headlines here are Rikishi weighing in on Cody Rhodes as a babyface, and we have a lot of the reaction of Jon Moxley and his heel turn the other night. And I don't really watch AEW, but the attack on Bryan Danielson, i.e. Daniel Bryan, all of that, I saw some of it, and I know that many of you do watch AEW, and from what I understand, it was fairly well received, and more power to you. So that'll end it here for the Raw review. If you have any suggestions for the show, or you just want to write in, mailbag@wwepodcast.com is a place to go. I read emails every single Friday. We also can, you can join us ad-free at patreon.com/WWE podcast, or on Apple Podcasts. You can subscribe for free there for 7 days. And then after that, it's just, I think on Apple Podcasts, it's $2.99 a month, but you also get the exclusive After Dark show there. So check that out. I'll be publishing that. I had an issue with the server last night, so I'll publish the After Dark show on Apple in just a moment. But that'll do it for me. I thank everybody. I'll be back on Friday for your mailbag. But in between then, we'll have the NXT review. We'll have another After Dark later in the week. And then before you know it, it'll be the weekend. So enjoy, everybody. And as always, take care. I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.